So today's race is, as you might have noticed, MetroidMaster versus Xoneris. Um, Actually, not sure about their individual PBs, but I think they're pretty close. So we're definitely in for a good race. Your start's pretty much the same as always. A lot of talking in the first couple of minutes. Adam tells you what to do. You get used to the controls and everything. Not much to say here at this point. As soon as we get to the first boss, that's when it's going to get interesting. So since it's a race, text mashing actually matters. So I know that Xoneris usually plays on a Japanese version, which means he's probably not used to English text. That might make a difference actually. I don't know about MetroidMaster. Not quite sure. Since there's so much text in this game, you can actually get a huge advantage by being used to it. It's like just tapping A the whole time is not faster than doing precise inputs. Usually it doesn't matter because Metroid Fusion is measured by in-game time. So text, and as text doesn't count towards the in-game time, usually people don't care as much about text meshing. But in a race, it obviously matters. Here we can see the runners picking up the first major upgrade. In this Metroid game, major upgrades do not count towards the percentage you finish the game with, and all the upgrades are mandatory. So unlike Super Metroid or Zero Mission, where you can pretty much decide what to pick up, you have to pick up every major upgrade in this game. So they just got the missiles, because they haven't received any upgrades for their beam yet. Missiles are the best way to do damage to everything. They're pretty even, but that might change pretty soon as they're approaching the first boss. First of all, the runners are going to pick up 2 more missile tanks. These ones are pretty fast to pick up as they're in their way. And it's good to have 20 missiles at this point, because the boss takes 15 to kill, and you also have to kill this Idor in front of the boss, which takes 3 hits. Idors contain a lot of RNG, because it's random whether they open or not, and you can only hit them if they look at you. So whoever gets better RNG usually takes the lead in this place. This boss fight is called Arachnus. It can give you a roll attack where it'll become invulnerable for a short amount of time, and that's considered bad luck because that means you'll have to wait for it to finish its attack. So Xoneris took the lead there due to a better boss fight, but still there's a lot left, so it might change easily, and it definitely will change at some point. Another thing that I should mention is the missile route. The amount of, you can decide for yourself how many missiles you want to pick up during the run, but there are certain amounts that are recommended. So for beginners, it's usually the easiest way to pick up 45 missiles in total, since that gives you enough to fight a certain boss later on in the game. The most optimal amount of missiles would be 35. So the missile tank they picked up on the main deck, that's mostly for consistency, since they're approaching Sector 1, and Sector 1 is an area where you definitely don't want to run out of missiles. You'll see why in a short amount of time. So this is Sector 1. The main storyline of the game is that the computer sends you around and tells you to do certain things. And you'll visit a lot of these sectors. There are 6 in total. We obviously start with the first one, Sector number 1. And your quest is to clean out the air conditioners. As you can see on Xoneris' screen now, there are these big fans, and you'll have to clean them pretty much by firing 3 missiles, and there are 4 of these in total. So by running out of missiles, you definitely lose time. You also want to stay at full health, because all the enemies drop these yellow or green eggs. Green eggs give you 2 missiles if you collect them, and if you're at full health, that means you'll only get green drops, which is very useful, especially in this sector. Yellow drops give you 10 health. So Xoneris is in the lead at the moment, but there's another boss fight coming up, and that means there's another idol, and that means a lot of RNG. So MetroidMaster has a good chance to catch up here. The boss fight you can see here is called Beam Core, and as you can see, it occasionally opens its eye, and that's firing missiles at its eye. It's the only way to damage it. It usually takes 4 hits to die, but what Xoneris did there is called a double missile. Means you can hit the I-beam core with 2 missiles at the same time. if you have good timing. And yeah, that means you only have to hit it 3 times in total. Also, the item they both picked up, it's the Charge Beam, and Charge Beam is a lot more powerful in this game than in other Metroid games, because not only does it deal a lot of damage, you can also deal sort of bonus damage with this. If you shoot a fully charged shot, you do 20 damage, plus there's a small flare. Besides Samus' arm cannon that deals an additional 6 damage if you hit with it. That means you can do, with one shot, you can do a maximum damage of 26, which allows you to kill certain things in the game much faster. So at this point, missiles are still useful, but you mainly want to use your beam for damage, since it's free and does more damage. So both runners are done with Sector 1 now. Looks like Xoneris is in the lead, but that might change in the next sector, the tropical sector, because there are these small, slowly moving, I don't know what they're called. They look like slugs. You'll see them in a second. Even though they move slowly, they do a lot of damage. And it's kind of hard to avoid them. You want to find a way to get around them by killing them pretty quickly, if possible. Also, MetroidMaster decided to pick up an extra energy tank. We'll see if that pays off in the end. I can completely understand that if you don't pay attention in Sector 2, you can get a lot of damage. You might even die with a bit of bad luck. So as you can see, Xoneris dropped down to 90 health already. Looks like he's playing it safe from now on. He better should. So MetroidMaster is unlocking the security levels, which allows him to access certain areas of this sector. Xoneris is already picking up the bombs. You'll definitely know bombs from other Metroid games, but turns out bombs are pretty useless in this Metroid game, since they hardly... There's only one place in the entire game where they're useful, and that place is coming up on Xoneris' screen right now. There. That's the only place where bombs are useful in terms of bomb jumping. You can't do infinite bomb jumpings or anything with them because they simply take too long to explode. They're only used to destroy blocks. In this sector, ammunition count is not that important, since you'll mainly use your charge beam to take down enemies, and you also get refilled before pretty much every boss. And since there's another boss coming up, it's not too big of a deal that Xoneris has only 8 missiles at this point. He'll get a refill shortly. So on Xoneris' screen, there's another E-Tank. Yeah, he's picking it up. So this E-Tank is very convenient to pick up because it's like pretty much on the way. Xoneris getting some pretty good RNG there on that idol. I think there was one beam, wasn't it? So the boss he's fighting now is called Zazabi. And as you can see, it jumps around. And the amount of jumps it can waste varies from 3 to I think 11 or 12 is the maximum amount, and that's completely random. There's no way to influence that. So So once again, Xoneris did double missiles on the core. You're supposed to hit it 4 times, but he took it down in 3 hits because he hit a double missile. So the thing you just saw there on Xoneris' screen is called the SAX. It appeared earlier, but that's the first time you actually encounter it. It does a lot of damage, so you really want to wait for it to walk away. There's a way to skip it and save 8 seconds if you do it right, but it's very hard and not recommended in a race, since you'll die easily. There's also a slower way that's still hard to pull off, at least if you're not that experienced. That saves 5 seconds, but usually you wouldn't go for it in a race, since you can die easily. So Xoneris at the computer already, MetroidMaster making its way out of the sector. That's Sector 2 done for now, but both of the runners are going to revisit this sector later on during the game, so you'll see it again. So you might wonder why Xoneris just entered Sector 4 after he finished Sector 2. That's just because you don't do them in chronologically order. You don't do 1, 2, 3, 4. You do 1, 2, 4, 3, 6, 5. It's also the only sector that has its door on the left side. So what Xoneris just did there, he cleared the gap with one single jump, which usually is a frame perfect jump. But what he did there was a jump extension. That means he did a spin jump, and then while spinning, he shot his arm cannon, and that gave him some extra, like that allowed him to clear the gap with one jump. Since that gives you a bit of horizontal movement speed. Yeah, Sector 4 is a pretty straightforward sector. The computer basically only tells you to find and defeat the end boss. So that's why they're heading straight for the boss. Also, something you just saw on MetroidMaster screen, it's called pseudo screw attack. When you charge your beam and do a spin jump into an enemy, you deal damage to it. And that allows you to clear some rooms much faster, since you can just jump through enemies. This boss you can see on Xoneris screen is called Xoneris. As you can see, it moves pretty quickly around the room, and you want to hit its head. That's the only point where you can do damage to it. Xoneris has 50 health. Means if you hit fully charged charge beam plus the flare damage, you do 26 damage, and if you do that 2 times, you can 2-shot this boss. Very nice fighter from Xoneris. Got some doubles too. So what you want to watch out for on MetroidMaster's stream here is if he gets a 2-round or not. The first pattern Ceres gives you is always the same. That's why both runners decided to wait for it at the upper left corner of the room. But afterwards, the movement is completely random. Okay, that looked like a 3-round for MetroidMaster. The item they just both picked up is called Speed Booster, and it's probably every speedrunner's favorite item, at least for the Metroid series, because it allows you to store your momentum. Ooh, very nice. That shine spark Xoneris did there is pixel perfect. So it allows you to store your momentum and do pretty cool tricks with it, as you could just saw on Xoneris screen. You can fly through certain rooms and everything. Xoneris also decided to pick up an extra missile tank. As you can see, MetroidMaster's using a different strategy here. He shine sparked straight back through the speed booster blocks. Both runners talking to the computer right now. Xoneris already in Sector 3. MetroidMaster out of its way on Sector 4. Sector 3 is a pretty cool sector in my opinion. Since you just got the speed booster, the developers of the game decided to put a lot of speed booster tricks you can do in this sector. Like there, what you saw at Xoneris screen, or rather what you did not see, there's a frame perfect trick you can do there, where you store a shine spark while breaking through a set of crumble blocks. And that allows you to store your shine spark and use it later on at a certain location. That would have saved around half a second, but as I said, it's a frame perfect trick. There are also speed booster blocks on the ground sometimes. So what you have to do is you have to run over them with high speed so they break. But what you can do is as soon as you approach the first speed booster block, you stop your shine spark as soon as you step onto it. That means you store your shine spark while still breaking the block. Furthermore, allowing you to do some speed booster tricks later on. Xoneris just downloaded the super missiles, and that means his missiles now do more damage than his beam does. Remember, his beam does 26 damage at maximum, and his regular missiles now do 30 damage. And there's this boss, it's called Box. It takes 10 missiles to go down. It usually jumps around the room, but as soon as you do damage to it, it starts moving in a certain pattern, and forcing it into this pattern allows the speedrunner to kill it much faster, since you pretty much gain control over its movements. The missile tank you see MetroidMaster picking up there, it's called Bob. And the reason why it has a name is that it's the only missile pack in the game that cannot be skipped. At least that's what everybody thought for a long time. That's why there's a 1% category, because you can skip every item in the game except for this missile tank. However, about half a year ago, a guy called ZX something found a way to skip this tank by going out of bounds in that very room, and that way you can make your way across. You can skip it by doing this frame perfect out of bounds trick. That's why there's a 0% category now. What MetroidMaster tried to do there was he tried to shine spark through those blocks, because there's actually an energy tank behind it that you can. It doesn't take much time to pick it up, so I can understand that he went for it. But it looks like he sparked too low. Meanwhile, Xoneris is starting Sector 6. This sector is called the Knock sector. Knock as in Nocturne. Or the Night sector. As you can see, it's quite dark. And there are these blue eggs flying around. And they actually do damage to you. So what you want to do is you want to move around the sector without running into any blue eggs, because they can do a lot of damage to you. So what you saw Xoneris doing there was he placed a bomb on the ground to break the blocks, and then he picked up the energy tank. That's because the bomb timer still keeps going while you pick up the energy tank, while the energy tank text box is on screen. That's why it's faster to place the bomb first and then pick up the energy tank. So here's another SAX encounter. You actually have to wait for it to set a power bomb so the blocks break and you can escape. There is theoretically there's a way to skip this encounter by doing the same trick that allows you to skip Bob. You can go out of bounds at this spot and go through the power bomb barrier. But the way this game works is you have to trigger every single event in this game to access the next event. So even if he did the skip, meaning he skipped the event with SAX, he could not continue with the plot since he had skipped one of the events. So the next event after the SAX encounter is fighting this boss and collecting various suit. But if you decide to skip SX, you can still fight this boss, but it won't give you various suit. Also, the boss has 100 health, and missiles don't do damage to it. But if you use your charge beam in the right way, you can do 26 damage each time. Meaning it's the fastest way to kill this is with 4 shots. So yeah, you can see it on MetroidMaster screen again. As I said, you can skip this whole cutscene, but it would pretty much... I mean, it doesn't get you anywhere. Ooh. That was a bit scary there. If you jump too high or too... You can trigger the SX, so it will go after you. That allows you to clear the room faster. But if you jump too high or shoot too early, the ice beam will hit you. And that does a lot of damage and freezes you. So you can die easily if you don't time it right. Let's see how his boss fight goes. Okay, I'm afraid I lost count there, but I don't think it was a 4-shot. Double missiles on this core are quite tricky because the way the map, the room is arranged, it's kind of tricky to lure it into the right position for double missiles. Also, every time you upgrade your missiles, the cooldown increases. It means the timing for double missiles gets much harder every time you upgrade. Yeah, on your way out of Sector 6 on MetroidMaster screen, there are a lot of enemies that spawn right after you kill the boss, and some of them can be pretty annoying because, especially those puffers, as soon as you damage them, they spit gas at you, and that makes it very hard to get around them sometimes. Sector 5, on the other hand, the sector you can see on Xoneris screen, is considered a pretty boring sector by most speedrunners of this game, because there's not much happening. There are no boss fights or anything. You just go there to pick up a major upgrade, ice missiles. One nice feature of Metroid Fusion is that if you charge your beam while you go through a door, the game will keep charging even though you're basically not doing anything. So that means if you start charging and then go through a door, your beam will be fully charged as soon as you leave the door on the other side. Also, if you let go during the door transition of your beam, Samus will shoot at the very first possible frame as soon as you leave the door on the other side. That's actually very helpful in a couple of places. So the item Xoneris picked up is called Ice Missiles, for obvious reasons. It allows you to freeze enemies. It does not kill enemies, however. If you hit an enemy that would die from one missile, it will stay frozen instead. So you'll have to shoot it again to kill it, which is annoying. But the fact that you can freeze enemies now and basically create platforms, that's very helpful, as you will see in about a minute on Xoneris screen. Because you can create your own paths through rooms this way by freezing enemies. So it turns out the SX hacked his way into the system control file of the main boiler room. That means you'll now have to go there and shut down the AC. And you have 6 minutes to do that. 6 minutes is more than enough. Usually, a very good time would be around, if it took you around 1 minute 30 seconds to get there. But 6 minutes is more than enough. Yeah, and at this point, the speedrunners want to look into their ammo count. As I said, ice missiles allows you to clear some rooms faster. Like here on Xoneris screen. That means if you have bad ammunition management, you might run out of missiles, and then you have to farm, which obviously costs a lot of time. So there's another eye core for Xoneris now. This core gives you white beam. It takes 4 hits to die, and you can do doubles, but doubles against this boss are a bit tricky. So Xoneris decided to go for an easier way. But the setup he did there also gives him sweet spot. Sweet spot means every time you kill an X core, it releases an upgrade, and the upgrade will always hover to a certain location in the room, meaning you want to kill the core as close as possible to the point where the upgrade will hover to, and it's called sweet spot if you kill it at the exact right spot. Here's another space where ice missiles come in handy. You can freeze all these stretchies on the wall and do some wall jumps with the help of the frozen stretchies. That's much faster than climbing the ladder, as ladders are pretty slow in this game. If possible, you always want to find an alternative way around ladders. So if you happen to be a Super Metroid fan, you will have to be strong now, because what Xoneris is about to do now is he's going to save the animals. There's no way around this in this game. Unfortunately, you have to save them. Okay, looks like MetroidMaster is going for doubles. But... okay, 4-shot, that means he did not get any doubles. The room you'll see next on Xoneris' room is the stretchy room, because you will have to climb it by using these stretchies. You can skip the first stretchy by doing a very precise wall jump followed by a jump extend. But that's very precise. Okay, the trick Xoneris tried to do there is that's a standard shine break, where you clear a shine spark block while still keeping your shine spark. So he could have shine spark up the next room, but he did not get it. Yeah, here's another very convenient missile you can pick up. It doesn't lose much time if you decide to skip it. So yeah, Xoneris has a pretty confident lead by now. But in his last race, he died to a boss that's still going to show up in a while. So I'm not saying that it's going to happen again, but nothing's over yet. We haven't seen any tough boss fights for a while, but that's going to change in a while. So there's picking up another missile tank. There's one boss later on where having a lot of missiles is very useful. So the more, the better. At least in terms of that boss. And all the missiles, all the expansions they're going for, they're all pretty quick ones. There's a nice shine spark trick coming up on Xoneris' screen. Let's see if he gets it. It looks cool. It doesn't save much time. Okay. He hit the platform. It doesn't save much time if he had gotten it, but it looks pretty cool. I think it saves around half a second. Or maybe even a full second, I'm not sure. So MetroidMaster is saving the animals while Xoneris picking up power bombs. The game is pretty nice to you. It gives you 10 power bombs from the start. Power bombs are actually needed to clear the game, unlike Zero Mission, where they're pretty much useless. There are power bomb tanks in this game, but you don't really need them, because having 10 power bombs is more than enough to clear the whole game. Also, what you just saw on Xoneris screen is a red X. As I said, there are green and yellow X that you can collect. There are also blue X that deal damage to you, unless you have various shoot. And there are red X, and red X pretty much give you full heal. I think they restore 5 energy tanks, 20 power bombs, and 50 missiles. That's also what Idors give you. Idors will always drop a red X. MetroidMaster approaching Sector 5, Xoneris leaving Sector 5, so convenient lead here for Xoneris. And here we can see one boss that hasn't made an appearance yet, Ridley. Fortunately, this Ridley is only a frozen leftover. What Xoneris did there was he placed a power bomb and waited for it to go off. That broke the power bomb blocks in that room, and since they stay broken, even if he leaves and reloads the room, he can just shines back through the room later on without having to break them again. Ooh, MetroidMaster. Ooh, that was close. Yeah, the SX is doing a lot of damage. Another pretty convenient E-tank for Xoneris. He now has 4 in total, if I'm not mistaken, which is a nice amount of health. But now he'll go through a series of boss fights, and some of these bosses you'll encounter, they do a lot of damage and could still potentially kill him, even with such a huge amount of health. So the first boss fight is the spider called Yakuza. Yakuza, at the very start of the fight, Yakuza spawns off screen, and you can actually damage it while it's off screen. That's why he fired missiles, even though there was no boss to be seen. Yeah, these jumps Yakuza does, they're completely random. So what you want to do is you want to try to predict where he's going, and then hit him as many times as possible. But it's moving pretty quickly around the room, so it's hard to keep track. Space jump allows you to hover in the air, pretty much. Very useful. Okay, MetroidMaster decided to. There's a missile tank right there. It doesn't take long to collect it, but MetroidMaster decided to skip it. I'm not sure how many missiles he has in total now, but I think he should be fine even without that particularly tank. So it looks like MetroidMaster actually has 35 missiles. And Xoneris has 50. So that's a huge difference. Another boss fight for Xoneris, and this is the one where you want to have a lot of missiles. The boss is on the right, but it actually doesn't do anything. If you stand on this platform on the very right, the left flower will not detect you anymore, so it stops releasing spores. That means you can focus on pumping missiles into this boss. It has exactly 2000 health, and once you kill it, it spawns its ichor. The room where you fight the ichor is not very big. That means it's kind of tough to set up for double missiles. Nice sweet spot there. MetroidMaster at the Yakuza fight. Yakuza can crawl around the room up to 4 times, and that's random. So what MetroidMaster is trying to do here, he got grabbed on purpose, and you can wriggle yourself free. That's a bit faster. You can kill the first phase of Yakuza in 2 rounds if you manage to get in enough missiles, but looks like MetroidMaster got a bit unlucky there. He killed it in 3 rounds. He's also quite low on missiles. You can use your beam at this point, but since missiles do more damage, you want to use them. They do the most damage, definitely. Ooh, MetroidMaster running low on health. This part of the boss fight is very tricky. We should be good. Yeah, collecting some yellow drops. So you can do doubles on this core, but at this point you have ice missiles, and they have quite a big cooldown, so it's not the easiest core to get doubles on. So now you want to watch Xoneris screen, see if he gets this shine spark. Looks like he's good. Yeah, he got it. So you can store your shine spark while falling down this room, and then spark through all these rooms, which obviously saves a lot of time. Also, the beam Xoneris has by now, the plasma beam. This beam works a bit different than the other ones, because now you don't do damage per shot, but you do damage per frame. The beam stays inside an enemy, because you can now penetrate enemies with your beam. another boss coming up for Xoneris, as well as for MetroidMaster. The one you see on Xoneris screen is called Nightmare. Nightmare is best known for screwing up low percent runs, because it's pretty big in relation to the room. It also moves pretty quickly, and its movements are, well, kind of random. So if you don't react quickly to what kind of pattern it gives you, you can get a lot of damage from it. Also, as I said, beam does way more damage than missiles, but Nightmare works a bit differently. The beam does not penetrate Nightmare, it only does damage for 1 frame. So in this case, pumping missiles into Nightmare does more damage than firing your beam. Okay, so what you want to do is, for Nightmare, you want to try to lure it into a position where it will stop flying around the room, so you can shoot at it while it approaches you. But it looks like Xoneris has a bit of trouble here. Okay, this looks good. Okay, MetroidMaster collecting plasma beam. Ooh, nice. Xoneris got a double. That's pretty cool. As I said, ice missiles are kind of hard to time, so it's not that easy to get doubles. The item Xoneris got is called Gravity Suit. I don't think I'll have to explain it, but just in case you don't know what it does, it allows you to move underwater freely, unaffected by water gravity. That means you can now do shine sparks and everything underwater. Very useful. So that's the last security level this Xoneris is going to unlock. With level 4, he now has access to pretty much every area in the game. Okay, MetroidMaster going for Nightmare Space Boost? No, that can't be. Okay, he tried to recharge his Space Boost. So on MetroidMaster's screen, you could see the door shots, as I'll call them. As I said, as soon as you let go of your beam during a draw transition, you shoot at the very first possible frame. That means you can kill the first pirate in that room instantly, and it won't have time to shoot at you. Xoneris, on the other hand, just collected what's called diffusion missiles. It looks pretty cool, but it's not that useful. You get this huge flare. You can charge your missiles now and add a flare to it. And this flare actually does 1 damage and freezes enemies. But that's all, and it's really not very useful. MetroidMaster decided to go for that E-Tank. Absolutely understandable if you keep in mind that Nightmare can screw you up pretty badly. So since you haven't killed any bosses in a while, you reach Sector 6 without any refresh. So there's a boss in the sector, but you don't get a refill before it, unless you decide to go for a refill station as Xoneris did. So now he's at full health and full missiles, which should make the boss quite easy for him. Ooh, MetroidMaster. Dropping low against the core. Oh, okay, he got it. So this boss, it's the same boss you saw earlier in Sector 3, the robot called Box. It behaves a bit like its overall behavior is the same. As soon as you do damage to it, it starts moving in a certain pattern. However, it does now shoot missiles at you, which is like they're easy to dodge. So this boss is not that hard overall. The beam core, however, has wave beam, and that can deal a lot of damage. So both runners should be fine since they have a good amount of health. But if you do this beam, if you fight this beam core on a low percent run, you want to try to avoid all the beams. Ooh. Looks like MetroidMaster didn't make it. That's unfortunate. Yeah, all the creatures in lower sector 5 do a lot of damage. So if you run into a few of them, you'll drop pretty low pretty quickly. Xoneris picking up another energy tank. It's probably a good idea to play a bit safe here. Xoneris approaching the next boss fight. There are these gold pirates in this room. You have to fight them. You have to kill 2 of them to open the door. You're supposed to kill them by shooting them from behind, but the game only checks if you and the pirates are facing the same direction. So what he did there is he shot the pirate and then he turned around. So this is Ridley. As a casual player, you probably beat this boss by pumping missiles into it, which is a lot of fun. But since your beam does damage per frame, it travels through an enemy. And Ridley is huge, has a huge hitbox. You deal so much more damage by just shooting a fully charged beam at it. You can add missiles to it in addition to your beam, but the beam is the most important thing. And yeah, as every other core, you can do doubles to this core, but you now have diffusion missiles, and they have such a huge cooldown that it's very, very hard to do double missiles. And that's the spot where Xoneris died in his last race. So looks like he's fine and he'll make it this time. But there's still a couple more things coming up that could potentially be lethal to him. So we'll see. Also, the item Xoneris got, the screw attack is very good in this game. You get it right at the end of the game, but as long as you're in screw attack mode, you're pretty much invincible. And you also kill every common enemy in the game with one hit. So what we'll see on Xoneris screen now is probably the longest talk to Adam. It's the longest talk to Adam in the entire game. I don't know how long it takes, but pretty sure it might be 1 minute, 1.5 minutes even. It's so much text. That's one of the reasons why a lot of people prefer playing on the Japanese version, because Japanese text is slower. So much text. No way. There's no way to skip it. You have to sit through it. Finally, that was actually the last Adam text in the game. There's more Adam text, but that's only after you finish the game, so it doesn't really matter. Game is also nearly over. The only thing left to do is you have to start the self-destruct cycle. No, you actually don't. You have to set curse to destroy the station. So he's now heading for the main deck. Yeah, probably a good idea to take a safety save here. Because, as you might have guessed, there's another boss fight coming up. So this boss, it moves around the room pretty quickly, but it's easy to predict its movements. Also what Xoneris does here, or at least tries to do here, since, as I said, his beam does a lot of damage at this point. Okay, good, he saved. His beam does a lot of damage, but every time he shoots a fully charged beam at the SX, it recalls. That means he doesn't deal as much damage as he should do. But if you freeze the SX, it cannot get hit back, and the beam travels all the way through. So what he tries to do is he's trying to shoot his regular beam plus a missile. That way the SX will stay frozen all the time. And he can shoot it with his wave beam. But the timing for shooting a missile and a beam is very tough. And that's why he died here, because it broke out. The SX thought and decided to kill him. Broke out of the pattern. The second phase of the boss fight looks super scary, but it's absolute garbage. Like, it does no damage and dies pretty quickly. Ice Beam Core, once again, you can do doubles, but the timing is tough, and also this core shoots Ice Beam shots, and they can do a lot of damage. It takes 6 hits to kill. And that's the final countdown of this game. You'll have to get to your ship before the station blows up. This time you don't have as much time as during the last countdown, meltdown. Last time you had 6 minutes, this time it's only 3. But yeah, it's still good. There's another frame perfect shine sprite you can do here that will take you through all these rooms. Saves around, I think it's half a second, so it's not that bad if you don't get it. This is an Omega Metroid. Brings you down to 1 health, and just as you're about to die, this happens. So at this point there's no way to deal damage to the Omega Metroid since you need Ice Beam, which is conveniently just around the corner. Yeah, the Omega Metroid does a lot of damage. There is a quick kill to it. If you get into a certain position, the Ice Beam will travel all the way through the Omega Metroid and deal a lot of damage. That will also stun him. So if you get the quick kill, you're pretty much guaranteed to kill it. It's also much faster than any other way. Yeah, and that's it. Looks like Xoneris made it to the end, thanks to safety saves. Yeah, so the only thing that's left at this point is going through the credits and seeing what in-game time he got, since this game is measured by in-game time. Let's see what in-game time he got. Doesn't really matter at this point, it's segmented anyway. $52. World record is 45 by JRP and Eagle. So that's this race. I'm just having a look at the schedule. If there's anything coming up. I think that was the last race for today, at least in terms of fusion. There's another one tomorrow. Ross versus Mendatobi. But fusion is over for today. So that's it with Fusion for today. I don't know what's coming up next. There might be some. No, the Zelda tournament is over. I actually don't know what's up next. Pretty sure there's something. Okay, that's it for today. I'm dropping out. Hope you enjoyed the race. I definitely did. Have a nice evening.